Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I am actually so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and hopefully your social media marketing. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I am so stoked to have Lindsay with me today. Welcome.
Hi, Lorraine. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
And I am so glad. I met you a couple weeks ago, and I am so glad to have you on the show. And my very first question for you is, could you tell my audience a little bit about your business and what you do?
Well, absolutely. And I guess I'll preface that by saying I love your business and the whole premise of this podcast, helping entrepreneurs. I think that's awesome. And I'm really, really, really pleased to be a part of it. Okay. So I am I do three things. They're all related. But the first and primary is I am an internationally certified image professional. And what that means is that I help men and women use their appearance to connect with and support their goals. Image consulting is much more of a science and an art of using color analysis, body and proportion analysis, closet organization and clearing, and personal shopping to get the end result that you feel you can go out in the world with and shine, look your very best. So that's number one. Number two is I do have a personal shopping service. This is for men who, as we know, sometimes just need a little more hand-holding in the wardrobe department. And I use the lifestyle brand J. Hilburn to support me on that. J. Hilburn provides a custom fit and concierge service in a very affordable price for either in-person or remote clothing. So I love that. And then the third thing I do is I recruit and I mentor men and women who, like your audience, might want their own business, their own terms, their own schedule, but might enjoy using custom clothing to as their vehicle of entrepreneurialism.
That's awesome. Can I just ask you something? It's like, how did you get into this? Like, what drove you to this?
I got divorced, which actually, life changes often galvanize one. And before marriage, before children, I had been in the corporate world. So I worked, I was a bank, I was a mortgage officer, I was a lender, I was an admin in my 20s. And my kids were still, approaching junior high. And I knew I wanted something flexible. And I just got this sense that although I could go get we call it a job in the entrepreneurial world, a job. I knew I could get a job, but I didn't want a job. I wanted to create something for me because as a housewife, you're spending your whole life supporting other people and you want that. I'm not saying you don't, but I just wanted to create something for me. And I love the idea of making people feel great about their appearance. It just seems like such a fun thing to do. And 15 years later, it has been.
Yeah. And it's funny. There's so much about, especially, that's being shown to us on TV and magazines, when you're in the stores about, public image. And it's really just really great that you work with people on that. I myself, I grew up a tomboy. So for me, it's like my wardrobe consisted of jeans and a t-shirt. And so it's really hard when I put on a dress. Everybody loves when I put on a dress, but it's like, oh my God. But,
so like matching your, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, what do you do with people like me who, I'm like, their wardrobe is pretty limited and they wear the same thing all the time and the same colors all the time. And it possibly may not be their right colors.
So helping you break out of a rut is absolutely something that we can do together at your own pace, at your own comfort level. And I'm going to circle back to really the first sentence I said, which is image consulting is the art and science of helping men and women achieve their appearance goals. And everyone's appearance goals are different. Some people might need to be, stiff, upright, and, spit shined and polished. And some people need to be more creative and free flowing and the color and vibrant pattern. And some people have a more casual, more sporty. Your new acronym for yourself is not tomboy, it's sporty. I have a sporty, casual personality. I like to dress in a sporty, casual way. Does that mean you need to look sloppy? No. It just means that we honor your personality.
That's awesome. What do you like most about what you do?
I like most that I love when I can take what I guess I take for granted being good at, because to me it's so simple and I can give it to someone and they're like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? And when I get feedback from people that say that our work together literally, truly, and really made a difference for them as they went out into the world in their life, very meaningful. It might seem fluffy, but when you leave the house with a sense of confidence, wow, all kinds of magic can occur.
Yeah. And, I was just thinking about this is like, there's so many people out there listening to this right now who, are thinking that they just kind of need more in their business than just the 9-to-5 job. And, you offer that flexibility. How, if somebody was interested in doing what you do, where would they start?
Well, I think they would start just with a conversation with me about what it is that I do. I certainly can easily direct people. The company that I work with, that I am able to provide this styling opportunity, is Jay Hilburn, and the website is jhstylist.com. And that is a site where you can go on and get a feel on what it is about to be a stylist. But the gist of it is, remember, being a stylist is just something you really think is a fun thing to do and something you think would be rewarding. The overall premise is that you want your own business, that you want that life. And I think I would say, you mentioned to me that one of your questions would be what my advice to entrepreneurs would be. And I think it would be having your own business is not easier, in my opinion. There are many times when it would be easier for me. I mean, I'm a great stylist. I could just roll out of bed and I could go down to Nordstrom in Norwalk and I could work a shift. And you know how much brain power that would take? Far less than networking, prospecting, following up, doing my social media, servicing clients, that whole thing is that, but the reward is so much greater. So I think that having that initial passion is what needs to drive you through the fact that, in my opinion, it is not as easy as having a job.
Yeah. And that brings me, a lot of people that, listen to this podcast are either they have their own businesses and they could be struggling or they could be thriving, but there's just something missing. And then a lot of people are thinking of starting their own business. And then a lot of people are just started and they don't really kind of know what to do next. And I always like to say, like I think I asked you this, but I want you to repeat it again. What is the most rewarding thing for you right now about doing what you do?
The most rewarding thing about having my own business is the time flexibility that has given me, for sure. I feel like I have a life that I can live, and I've had some children that have needed me a lot in their 20s, and I would not have been able to give that if I had not had this job. But day to day, it is the man or the woman that tells me that they send selfies of them out in the world because they're so thrilled with how they look. And I know that self-confidence, that self-esteem, that energy is translating to other areas of their life.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about this. It's like, I look at a lot of times, I should say, I do public speaking. And, the first thing that comes to your mind when you're going to, especially if you're speaking in person, is, of course, what am I going to wear?
Yes.
And it's like, is it a pants day or is it a dress day? What kind of, audience is going to be there? And it's so funny because I am just so like, for myself, well, I always bring an extra outfit with me because it would just be my luck that I would spill coffee over outfit number one. So I always have an extra outfit with me, especially if I'm speaking in person. Yeah, if I'm on Zoom, it's easy, so, right. But it's interesting in anything you do. It's like you are always asking, is what I'm wearing appropriate? I remember the very first time I went to a networking event, and I didn't know about networking events. This was when I first started out my business. I said, is this business professional? Is this business casual? Is it wear whatever you want?
Since we met at a big networking group, there were more than 40 people there. And if you had looked around the room with my hat on, you would have seen several people you could identify that did not go into that meeting dressed like a business owner. I don't care that 20 minutes after the meeting, you're coming over to my house and climbing under my sink or whatever, in other words, but throw on a sport coat over your logo plumbing t-shirt that just says, you know what, for 90 minutes, I'm going to do some business. I'm coming in as a business owner.
Yeah, I actually, I've moved to the whole business casual, whereas like, I felt like lately I've been dressing for summer.
Sure.
I mean, and that's,
yeah.
And it's funny. Everybody, everybody's different. I always yell at, like, my husband's a plumbing contractor.
Oh, and funny. So I use plumbing. Okay.
It's so funny. I always say to him when he goes to his networking group, just wear something else besides your plumbing stuff.
Well, you know what? If he's doing an estimate, he should wear a button shirt, a button up, shirt. Because he wants to look like
he does. He has some, and I've been trying to get him out of that, but he, again, he's the whole jeans and t-shirt type of guy. And it's like, it's just crazy. I think it's just funny how, I've been in networking groups for years now, just how different people dress. And it's like, always, it's the financial guys that come in with the tight suit and the all tie and their hair actually wet combed, which is very interesting if they have hair, I should say. And but what I was going to ask you is that so we all have we talk about the glory and the glamour a lot, and you really didn't. You said it's hard. It's not easy to be in business for yourself, but we do talk about the glory and glamour, the freedom and all that. But what would you say the biggest challenge, especially right now, is in doing your business?
I think that my biggest challenge and what I would want to share to others is there's a book called The E-Myth. And the gist of it is understanding that you cannot successfully run a business when you are juggling all of the plates at once. And part of being a business owner that can scale their business and grow their business, which is what all of our dreams are, is outsourcing something, like maybe to you, Lorraine. God. Yeah. In other words, outsourcing the things that don't bring you joy, that, I don't know, the bookkeeping, the social media, all of that. It should be that you are really considering your time as a valuable entity.
Yeah, it's funny you just said that, bookkeeping. I always tell people, I come from a background of, working in a hospital to just work, doing like marketing. And I just always tell people that don't do the stuff that just sucks the life out of you. Because, for instance, bookkeeping, you mentioned that. Oh my gosh. But and what's really bad is both my husband and I are really bad at bookkeeping. I mean, it's it's like it's funny. I had to do something for my accountant yesterday, and it just stressed me out so much that I literally had to take a walk around the block just to unstress. And I have, I have a little staff. I just had hired somebody in January, and we have a really good relationship. And I said, can you just write me a note, like a sick note? Because I don't want to do this.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, oh my gosh. But no, it's good that it's the challenge is, you're going to have challenges in your business. And, for people like you and me, it's always keeping that funnel open. Nobody likes to talk about it. I've had over 30, 40 entrepreneurs on this, and nobody talks about that we always have to have clients coming in. And here's the thing is, and just because you put a website up and you say, hey, I'm a business owner, look at me, and you don't go out there and get it, you're not going to.
You can be the best cake maker, in the country, but if nobody knows about your business, it's yeah.
I always used to say to people, it's just because you put a store sign up that you're open doesn't mean people are going to walk in. So yeah. And I admire, like, it's funny, everybody that I meet networking, I admire them so much because they're doing what they need to do to bring in business, and it's just not any business. I mean, I'm sure there's types of people that like I always say that you would work for free for all day because they're so great to work with. And then there's others, so all to say there's others that, aren't quite a fit. And you know what? Guess what? That's okay. Because if they're not a fit for you, they may be a fit for someone else. Right. So there's plenty of business out there. So
and I've identified some of those people in my own business. And I also, one of the things I really like about Jay Hilburn is the mindset is there's enough men. There's enough men, ladies, to go around. So in other words, we don't have to be scrabbling over there are plenty of guys and there's plenty of clients.
Yeah. And as a mother of 3 boys, and I have a daughter too, she would love a personal shopper. Let's just put it that way. But interestingly enough, all my boys, first of all, could have been raised by wolves. Okay. And getting them to a store. Oh my gosh. Mom, can't you just do that for me? No, you have to try it on. And
okay, so I have 2 boys also, and people say, you carry this gorgeous Jay Hilburn line. Do your children, obviously they're late 20s now, enjoy it. And I think to myself, I have one who wears nothing but medical scrubs, and then the other who wears nothing but, band rock and roll t-shirts. So the answer is no, not so much.
Well, I have to say, and this is a plug for Jay Hilburn, is they have an amazing line, and
thank you.
I've used them for my husband's used them once, and
nice, yeah.
My son, when he was in college, he was in a wedding, and
so he got a suit.
They had specifications, and it was easy specifications, but you get to keep the suit because you're not, renting a tuxedo, and that was the idea. And so my son has this awesome suit, that he still wears.
Great.
And he, now he doesn't need it, but as much, but when he has that going out time, he's definitely, doing it. So I saw their catalog. I just liked, the everything about it. So definitely, if you have a guy that doesn't like to dress and doesn't like to shop.
Actually, I was going to say, can I clarify that? Because many, many men don't like to shop, but once you show a guy how great he can look, and here's the thing about custom feels better on your body because it fits you. It's not too baggy, it's not restrictive, it's the way you like your clothes to fit. And they're like, wow, I didn't know a suit could, I'm not saying I just push suits, but a suit could be this comfortable.
Yeah, and I know a friend of mine actually who uses Jay Hilburn. They just get pants. Mm-hmm. They love their pants for some reason, and
jeans, 5 pockets.
Yeah, you can get whatever you want.
Shorts, right?
And by the way, everybody, I'm going to let you do this plug later, but it's a great gift to give to someone.
Oh,
If
thank
you do not know what to get somebody, and it's original, it's like, how many times have you got a gift to have, somebody come over, measure you, and pick a few outfits out? I mean, seriously, it's
a
just
nice business gift, because what do you get a guy other than another bottle of scotch?
Right. I think it's better than a bottle of scotch, but yeah. So, I know you kind of went ahead a little bit and answered this, but one more time, probably what I would love you to say is, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you could give someone, twofold, just starting out and seasoned? One piece of advice. You can give two, actually, one for the startup and one for the season.
The startup person they're running on passion right now. They're running on dreams. They have an idea, and they're willing to put a lot into it. I would say that I want them to invest as much as they can in the support services that I mentioned, so they don't get burned out, and invest as much as they can in marketing. Again, for example, using a service like you provide, because if they don't get some traction sooner rather than later, they could very easily lose their mojo and lose their initial investment and that energy. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. And the problem is, though, and later on, is like when you get to the seasoned person, what will happen sometimes is you'll lose your passion. But then what I say to that is, then you just really got to you got to get clarity. You got to be very clear on what you really want, and I think there's a little bit more, but basically it starts with passion. I don't believe that passion can get you through, the tough times in business.
Right.
Like, passion didn't get me through COVID. But
support services can help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The seasoned person has already, I'm in. I'm not going anywhere. COVID knocked custom clothing. Let me tell you, maybe. Not custom clothing, because everyone is home in their boxers for 18 months.
Yeah.
But I am so committed to both my business, my existing clients, and this brand that I wasn't going anywhere. So I know that about myself. But everybody needs a little, everybody needs a little handhold and a little juice sometimes to help them, be excited about the next iteration.
Yeah. And, I have to
ask a little caffeine, to quote you. A little caffeine.
Yeah, a little caffeine. No, really great. But, it just brought, they say that history always repeats itself. And, and it does. If you go back and you see all the events that happened over the years, literally it repeats itself. So knowing what you know now, is there anything differently you would have done during the COVID period?
I think trust and faith. Everything does come around. And I would have liked to have been a little less scared at the time. And I'm really glad that I didn't do anything crazy, like quit my business. So I think just faith in myself, faith in the world, faith that everything's going to be all right.
Awesome. And the same thing is, like, a lot of businesses, I had a lot of businesses that I worked for that were restaurants and stuff, and they tanked. A lot of, there are a lot of places closed, and
the restaurant may have tanked, but the person, the couple, the man, the woman, they didn't unless they made a terrible life choice, but they did not tank. They still have everything that they know up here, and they still have the opportunity to do it, to rebuild something that's even better than before.
Right. And that's what I was saying. It's like the pivot, you know, we all made some, and I hate using that word pivot because it's was overused, but we all pivoted to something. So what kept you going during that time?
I actually had, I had some fun. I mean, I had some time off, and there was this magical thing called PPP. And so I got to take some time off, and I got to do some, I got to chill a little bit. So that was nice.
And that's awesome. I love that. And most of the people I do talk to have done that, but I was just thinking, particularly, you know, I've talked to a lot of businesses that, like, my husband was considered a necessity. So he worked in people's houses through this whole thing.
Yep.
And so, but for the most, there were a lot of people who, for the people like us who, you know, and for me, I was a little bit easier to like regroup.
So there's something else, I guess I will add to that also, is that I did an enormous amount of image work during that time because people had time. And if there's a moment in time when people are willing to invest in, I don't mean just the J. Hilburn personal shopping, I mean a full soup to nuts image package. It's when they're reinventing themselves, which is perfect for this audience, because as they consider what their next steps could be, often a reinvention, even if it's in the same line of work, you just know you want to do a media campaign, or you know you want to do some public speaking, you know you want to up the ante a little bit on your image. Or maybe you're that person that is in corporate and you know that you cannot wear the buttoned up, suit and tie to a consulting meeting. So there's all those attributes that were brought together to give me more image work than I had done previously, a lot more.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
There we go. Sorry, you got it out of me. Good.
And no, but interestingly enough, so moving forward though, once you started realizing that that's what was going to work for you during that time, the image work, how does it translate to today? Where do you focus? I mean, image work seems to be like the most important piece in your whole business. So did you get any great ideas or anything that helped you?
The process is totally different. I used to take, so Lorraine, to use you an example, we do your image consultation, do your color analysis, we do your body and line analysis, we peek into your closet, we see what you have, we make a shopping list, and then we go to fill in the blank store of your choice, but we'll just pick Nordstrom. We go to Nordstrom and I usually go first. I fill the whole dressing room in your size, in your color, in your budget. You come in like a fairy princess, and we have this little island in the dressing room that's just us, and we try on the clothes, and I help you make the decision on what you want to purchase. That's BC, before COVID. Now I do the same process that I just described, except I will purchase for you maybe 2, 3, if you can manage it, times the amount of apparel we agree is your budget online. And I bring it all to me, and I unpack it, and I sort it, and I label it, and I bring it to you on a rolling rack, and we use your bedroom as the changing room, as the fitting room. So then I do all the returns. So in other words, I get the whole world of online resources. So now, instead of us dragging our, bags through the mall, I'm picking something from Banana Republic, something from Talbot, something from Nordstrom, something from, who knows, something from Neiman's, something from wherever your world is, Land's End, doesn't matter. I have the whole world available to me to bring to your bedroom. So I find it's a far richer experience now. I wouldn't go, the stores still are not fully stocked, but I wouldn't go backwards. I love this. I love this way.
That's great. See, and there you go. It's like, and that's the same thing. I discovered a bunch of things about my business during the time too. So I'm sure you resonated with somebody. So can you just, if somebody needed to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So if you would like to, if you're a guy or a gal, I guess, looking for a gift, but if you're a man and you would like to take a look at the J. Hilburn website, it's pretty easy. It's JHILBURN.com. What is unusual about the J. Hilburn website is that all the prices are listed. which is incredibly rare in the world of custom clothing. Also, I would say, go to the lookbook area and look at the pictures. Guys love to shop by pointing at a mannequin and grunting, if you're not teasing, but saying, I like that. And the lookbook area allows you to do that. So have some fun on jhilburn.com. If you're interested in what I talked about entrepreneurially, in working with me and being a stylist, there's a link right from that to jhilburnstylist.com. So you can take a look there. And if you're interested in image consulting for men or women, my business, my own website, is mystyleofsuccess.com, mystyleofsuccess.com. And on all the sites are my emails and my phone number. And I would love to hear back from someone or hear what you thought. And I have an offer, if I may, to your listeners. Anyone that wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I will, for free, critique their picture on LinkedIn. And what I mean by critique is, it's not about pretty or handsome or good or bad. It's, does your image reflect and support your business goals, what it is you do? So I offer that to your listeners.
That's awesome. And so I will be putting also these links below on every social media and the podcast itself. So all the links will be there. I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast, Ann.
Lorraine, this was such fun. You told me it would be, and it is, and I thank you.
And you are quite welcome. So everyone, until next week, I will see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.